Well, in the words of the great Mills Lane, since we can't seem to get along, let's get it on. Welcome back into the show with Brendan Tobin. I'm the sports machine, Sean Levine. Friends turn foes. The segment is called You Gonna Fight Me. BT, you gonna fight me if I say Tom Aspinall is clearly the best current fighter from the United Kingdom?
Man, is he clear? I can't say clearly because Leon Edwards is on the planet right now. So I can't say clearly, but is he the most fun fighter from the UK? Yes. I cannot crown him yet the best, but damn, he's getting close, dude. I mean, like he's got it all right in front of him to have that title in about a year's time.
Jake, our producer, says Meatball Molly McCann. You're wrong, but I love Meatball Molly because I made so much money when she knocked out that girl with the spinning elbow. Which fight do you feel more confident about next week? Which is Friday from the UK. Do you think it's more Aspinall can take out Curtis Blades, or do you like Leon shot next Saturday night?
I'm more confident in Aspinall. He just seems like a buzzsaw right now, and there's not a lot of holes for me to go on. I do think that Bilal's getting slept on a little. I think everybody's leaning a little bit too much on that first fight. It's in the past now. I mean, like, look, we've seen crazy things. Bilal's a grinder. He's been very good at finding paths to victory. I'm throwing that first round plus fight before the eye poke out. Even if it did happen and you told me, hey, you want to give Leon a win over that, I wouldn't lean too much into it. I think Bilal's got a good shot next week, and I think there's a lot of value in Bilal. Curtis Blades is so damn good, but he's got one crux, and that's usually a guy who has a huge hands advantage on him. If it's in the stand-up and you got enough power, you usually can beat Curtis Blades. It's been the big crux of his career.
Aspinall is just so fast. Like, he moves like a welterweight and he punches like a Mack truck, right? So he doesn't have a lot of holes. Do you hold the interim against him? Because I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're looking like you're holding the interim against him. Like, oh, well, Leon's the real champ, and this guy kind of is.
No, it's not that I hold it against him. It's just that Leon's got the longer resume right now. Like, Leon is what is he on, a 13 fight win streak right now? Like, the guy's been it's been unbelievable, the run that he's been on. It's close. I mean, I think you said unquestionably the best UK fighter. I just said no, it can't be unquestionably the best UK fighter. Leon definitely got a claim to that. But look, if only one comes away victorious, I think that is on the line probably for next week.
Can we agree it's not Darren Till?
It is not.
Okay. All right, we finally agreed on something. DC, so I'm sure you heard John Jones got some legal trouble, and DC actually had his back and was like, this time it's complete BS. You're going to fight me if I say John Jones and Daniel Cormier is the best rivalry in the history of the UFC.
The best personal rivalry, like just the realest hate. Is that like what you're going with there?
The most deep-seated, where like you know that these guys actually like truly hate each other. Some of the back and forth, and like, look, Khabib and Conor didn't like each other. Conor and Nate weren't really good friends. Misha and Ronda. I mean, at T.J. Dillashaw and your boy Cody Garbrandt, there've been a lot of great ones. This is the best though. You gonna fight me?
Yeah, I always felt bad for Cody because I felt like he was wrapped into what was really a beef with Uriah Faber and Team Alpha Male for TJ Dillashaw, which probably got him. That got him distracted from that fight. I would say, if anything is going to come close to those two, because the genuine hate that's there. I mean, like the video feed of them both in the satellite truck just talking bleep to cameras because they can't see each other, but they know they're in the next room it's one of the greatest videos of all time, and that was on top of them already having a brawl. Was it in the Mandalay Bay? I forget where that exactly took place. MGM. It was unbelievable. The only thing that comes close is Conor throwing a dolly through a bus. I mean,
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Every time I go to Vegas, I stand in the lobby. That's why I knew it immediately. Stand in the lobby of the MGM, because that's where it happened. Because usually they don't have the press conferences there. They either have them back at where the old Garden Arena is, or sometimes they'll have like the open fight stuff back by where the lion cage used to be. This was literally right when you walk into MGM. Like, can you imagine walking into MGM just to play a little bet? Maybe you just landed in Vegas, and next thing you know, you got John Jones for free. no octagon around him, swinging at Daniel Cormier the night before the fight. Just absolutely
it was
epic.
I mean, dude, I got to be honest. I've been in a situation like that before with the Floyd Mayweather Jake Paul thing. I was like literally
You were
right in the middle of that
one. You were right in the middle.
It's crazy. And now it was probably ill-advised of me to continue to follow Floyd Mayweather with the camera, which is why he did not appreciate it. But in the middle of that, because everybody swore to God that it was staged, which it was not staged. It was purposefully sparked by Jake Paul, but you could hear.
Was this the I got your hat?
Yeah, it was I got your hat.
Yeah.
And I mean, Floyd Mayweather's team was swinging. I mean, they were not in on the bit. They were swinging on Jake Paul.
If Khabib would have fought, let's say, 3 more years, somebody would have beat him. You going to fight me? Because he cleared out the division. I don't blame him for retiring at that point. He was probably just going to have to re-rack it. But if he would have fought for a few more years, somebody would have come around. Somebody would have beat that guy. They would have figured it out. You going to fight me?
The odds are, yeah, probably, because it's MMA and you think you're on your way to perfection and then you get head kicked and your entire legacy changes. But dude, when this guy hung him up the way that he beat Justin Gaethje with how dangerous Justin Gaethje was at the time, he looked better than he did even in the Conor fight. He looked better than he did in the Poirier fight. Like, he looked better than he had in any title fight. He looked at the peak of his powers. So he didn't look like anybody was going to beat him the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. He looked like he could have taken your one leg, stripped you, choked you out, tap machine. He could look like he could have done that as long as he wanted to. And it could have, if he didn't want to make 155 anymore and he would have gotten up a weight class, he probably could have done it to everybody up at 172.
You mentioned the pictures that have surfaced of TJ Dillashaw, and he looks big. He looks absolutely huge. Even though he was the champ and he had some real memorable fights, you're going to fight me if I say he's going to be remembered as a cheat.
Yeah, it's such a strange thing, too, because so many people have cheated in this sport that we love. And I don't know why it is that he is held against it more, because I think it probably has to do with everybody really hated his decision to go down to 125 and thought it was stupid. And it didn't pay off for him. And then, you find out that he had to do all these corner cuts to get there, because nobody has ever wanted somebody to be the champion at 135 and then be like, you know what I really would love to know? Hey, TJ, could you get down 10 more pounds and still be the champion? Like, everybody wants to see you go up. Nobody wants to see you go down. Nobody in the history of the sport ever wants to see you go, hey, could you go pick on a smaller guy? No, guys are always looked upon and said, no, like, go higher. That's where we want you to go. He's the first guy in the sport to be like, I want to become champ, but I want to go down to do it. It's just, so I think there's also just a level of people not respecting it and thinking that was dumb. Why did you do that? So I think that plays into that as well. On top of, he kind of was the bad guy in the Team Alpha Male thing. Everybody loves Uriah Faber. So I think there's a lot of things that play out, but it is weird that the cheating thing, it really bothers us with TJ when John doesn't get held with that. Vitor Belfort, Chael Sonnen, Anderson Silva, just to name a few, and nobody really seems to care that much.
You know why? And I'm not excusing them, but all those guys leaned into it. They're like, all right, I did it, especially Chael, but he can make light out of anything. I feel like TJ Dillashaw was the one that was wagging his finger in the camera in our face, talking about other people doing it, and that he would never do it. And like you said, he was the bad guy in both those fights because everybody loved Cody Garbrandt. And then when he came back and he fought for the belt, right, in the Aljo fight, where his shoulder popped out, and then he told us, like, right away that his shoulder was already out of socket. The whole thing just always felt dirty with TJ Dillashaw. I think that maybe that's the difference is once he had all the allegations, he was never able to overcome them. Chael was able to come back and be really popular and win some fights, right? Same thing with Anderson Silva. Same thing with all those guys that you just mentioned where it was like, all right, even John Jones, he's fought 20 times since allegations have surfaced, and they still do, even most recently this week. For TJ, it was, we heard about it, he came back, then he fought with the shoulder, then he got his ass whooped, and then he retired. I think it's kind of the way he went out.
I'm not gonna dispute what you're saying about leaning into being the bad guy or anything like that, but I think it's most people thinking that he was dumb for doing it, and it's like, what you cheated to do something nobody was really clamoring for you to do, and then look what it cost you. Like
Except Dana.
you had
Remember at
this.
the time, he said he was Dana's hitman because they were talking about completely closing out the flyweight division when he
Well,
went. So yeah, I mean,
I
somebody
get
wanted
you, but
Dom.
like, it's a crazy thing because you go from the guy who, I mean, remember TJ Dillashaw won the title against Renan Barão. I think at the time was the biggest underdog to ever win a championship.
Yeah,
I
Renan
don't remember
Barão was on
exactly
like
what
a
the
20
closing.
fight win streak.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the closing odds were, but I think he was. It was like unheard. Like, oh, this TJ Dillashaw's not going to win the title against Renan
Then he
Barão.
beat him
Like,
again.
that's not going to beat him again. And so it is unfortunate to see where it all went from there because yeah, he had a really good title reign, and had a good run up until this whole go down the flyweight thing happened. That was really dumb. But the story of TJ Dillashaw started out incredibly, like this incredible upset over Renan Barão to win the belt, and it just kind of all unraveled from there. But now he looks like he's the hitman for Duck Dynasty,
Doesn't he? I mean, he's huge. And remember, he was like for the first promotion for the first when ESPN got the UFC deal, and we saw those commercials. I think it was the Cejudo fight where it was like all over the place. So we've been talking about him now for a while. Same thing with Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat came out earlier this week saying the title fight for UFC 304 is boring. At this point, I don't think that Khamzat's ever going to fight for a belt. You going to fight me?
I always say this with you, never's a long time when we do these arguments, but I just think that for him, we just got to see it. Like the guy seems to have some very, very serious health concerns. I'm still not quite sure what title he would be fighting at. 185. Could I see him getting in the 185 mix? Yeah, I could. You know, it's not packed there right now with Sean Strickland, Robert Whittaker still at the top there with DDP. I can see him getting in the mix there for sure. But it's just a matter of, could we actually see this guy fight 3 times in a year? Could we ever see that? Could I see him fight twice in a year to get any kind of momentum really riding for his career? And if that happens, then sure. But I think we leave every Khamzat Chimaev fight now with more questions than answers. It's always like, okay, that's the best you could do against Kamaru Usman making a middleweight debut. That's the best you could do against a Gilbert Burns. Oh, you're sick again. Oh, look, I don't. Health is health. I mean, I'm not dogging him for it, but it's just we're left with all this mystery for a guy that, man, Fight Island was 4 years ago. The time flies.
And that's also why I think the UFC, unless they're forced to, doesn't want to give him a shot at the belt, because the last thing they want is another John Jones type situation where, all right, I mean, yeah, it's cool when this guy fights and maybe he's good enough to be champ, but we don't want him gone for a year or two. In the case of Khamzat, that would likely happen. Then you'd have to have interim and figure out all that BS. So he went from being, I think, the show pony, as you put it, to one of the guys that everybody wanted to see and was Dana's guy, to like, proceed with caution when it comes to Khamzat. Right now, I think Poatan Pereira is the scariest guy in the UFC. You going to fight me if I said Brock Lesnar is the scariest guy in the history of the UFC?
Brock, what? Really?
I mean,
Brock Lesnar scarier to you than Francis Ngannou?
I thought you were saying Ngannou or Chuck Liddell. But yes. How about Cain Velasquez?
Oh,
you make your list? Cain was
terrifying.
Scary, dude. Cain was scary.
Does it just have to be heavyweights?
No, of course not.
She's adorable.
Okay. Let's see. 5 years ago today, Manny Pacquiao took out Keith Thurman, took his WBA title. You're going to fight me if I say Manny Pacquiao will go down as a top 10 all-time pound-for-pound fighter.
Man, 8 championships, eight division championships is an incredible feat by him. One of my favorite fighters all time. I'd say probably top 3 for me all time. Just as personal favorites. I love Manny Pacquiao. I got to be in the building for that fight. That was a really, really fun atmosphere to see, him put Keith Thurman down in the first round. That building went crazy.
Oh, you were in the house for that fight.
Yeah, we did our. It was crazy. My buddy, I'll never forget this. My boy Leroy Horde. He never stopped making fun of me because I was eating a churro as a snack in the arena, and he said no grown man should be eating a churro as a ballpark snack, which I really disagree with because it's a sugary, delightful treat. I don't care if it's made for children. Why can't I enjoy a churro?
Let the man eat what he wants. That's Brendan Tobin on the Sports Machine. This is Tapped Out.